Welcome to another episode of Pokésports. How you doing, Kevin?
I am doing phenomenal. I've been playing nothing but ranked, Mike.
I've seen.
Nothing but
Oh
ranked.
my good lord, you are going all kinds of ham on this
Yeah,
game.
and I don't know if that's good or not.
Like, are you okay? Are you getting sleep?
uh, I guess enough sleep, not 8 hours.
I have had about as much time to change this background that I've had
Dude,
to play the entire
I
game this
see.
week.
You're back in the fairy place.
I'm
Are you
back
gonna
in the
catch
fairy place.
Galarian Ponyta?
I mean, oh, is that one right there? Just grab one right up. Yeah, basically.
So, so wait, since you have that as your background,
Yeah.
does that mean that this is going to be a 24-hour live stream of
Listen.
Pokémon?
Okay, the joke is not lost on me because I have seen and I saw at that time everybody
jeez.
use the exact same background
Oh,
for
did they?
specifically
I
that.
didn't
Oh,
see that.
absolutely.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
funny.
Everybody who's like, oh, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream of Pokemon when it first comes out. Because this was like the only background that was
Yeah.
good and usable before the game actually came out, right? So
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
everybody was using this. So, Kevin, you have had a ton of time to play the game. I have had not as much time to play the game, which I feel like can be as equal of a learning experience for our people as you know any one of us individuals. I have now not to be facetious or anything, but like I've had enough time to put together half of a team, and I'm going to show you what I've put together so far.
Okay.
But what I'm really interested in is how you've been faring in the competitive scene. Now, we're not going to talk about it right now. We're going to talk about that
Yeah.
after the
Later
break.
on.
But today is going to be completely focused on the competitive aspect of Pokemon. We're going to be focusing a little harder on what the game actually looks like in Sword and Shield. So, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Unless Kevin, do you have something to talk about before we start?
No, all that's coming later that I want to talk about.
Beautiful.
And I'm holding it in a thought bubble.
I will say before we start that this may very well be the last episode of Pokésports on this channel.
Oh.
We should say, are going to be
Yeah.
moving Pokésports to its own Twitch channel, which we're going to talk about at the end of this episode. So,
Which is something we've been wanting to do for a while, right?
yeah, exactly.
Like we wanted to get to a point to where we can justify making an own channel for this, and
Yeah.
we're actually getting viewership and people that are here watching right now, so that's exciting. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Obviously, this is something we wanted to do for a while, and you guys are making it come true.
And again, for all those who are listening on Twitch right now, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Everybody who's listening to us on YouTube, again, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And anybody who's now listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as of this week, that will be an eventuality that people might actually listen to this thing.
We'll get there.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So anyway, let's jump into the shenaniganery that is Pokésports. Whoa. There we go. First thing we're going to be talking about today is singles battles. We're going to be going into the online ranked competitive battles here. So Kevin, you want to tell us a little bit about singles battles?
Now, singles in terms of like online battle spot or VS spot or whatever they're calling it, the battle stadium, is a little bit different than, your traditional 6v6 Pokemon singles battle. In this case, you're actually limited to a lot of the things you can do. For this season, you have to bring 6 Pokemon. You don't have to bring 6, but you have to bring at least 3. But usually people bring 6, pick 3. And you can't have 2 of the same Pokemon. That includes even Rotom forms are still considered the same Pokemon.
Interesting.
You can't have the same items on either Pokemon, which is, different than, typical 6v6 singles that, you can run leftovers on everything if you really wanted to. But no, not in this case. Each Pokemon needs a different item. And then also for this season, you can't have G-Maxes at all. You can only have Dynomaxes, which is what we talked about earlier on, like why we think that's a thing is probably just because of exclusivity.
Specifically,
And because of,
I think so.
yeah. I think it's mostly because of exclusivity. I don't think it's because of overpoweredness, because a lot of them aren't that great, and a lot of the Dynomax moves are honestly a lot better than some of these.
Yeah, but honestly, like now that we've had a little bit of time to experiment with the G Maxers, you kind of find like, oh, the exclusive moves are gimmicky, but they're not particularly game breaking.
I guess you can make the argument that they're not competitive moves,
right?
But I mean, neither is minimize, and minimize is allowed. So
there's have you ever faced a Clefable? I'm sure you have a D-Max Clefable.
No.
Oh my god, they're the worst. They're the absolute worst. Yeah. If you're trying to farm Clefables, trying to get anything really. I was about to say trying to get a hidden ability. You can't actually get a hidden ability Clefairy right now or a Clefable.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Anyway, the one of the moves on D-Max Clefable is minimize, and it loves to spam those.
Only on the max raid, right? Because I think in like competitive, you can't have that.
No, exactly. Specifically on the max. On
the max raids. Yeah. Oh, that's so annoying. Jeez,
it's super annoying. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying. It's important to note for everybody who's listening who may have played around with Pokemon in the past or who might have been playing on Pokemon Showdown that the ranked battles are different than the Smogon battles.
Oh yes.
Smogon is specifically a 6v6 style where you can actually very, very like the anime go in and put your 6 against another 6. Pokemon's Online is more for a short-term battle. So of the 6, you pick 3. Some people, like you said, they go in with just the 3, but that's kind of a waste. Like if you're going to do that
ruins the surprise factor.
Yeah, exactly. Like at least pad your team with 3 other Pokemon, that can kind of throw off your opponent and think like, oh, maybe I should play against this guy's Morpeko or play against this guy's Quagsire when in fact you're just sending out 3 of your strongest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's singles. Let's go into doubles. Now doubles I know is more of your bread and butter. Singles is mine. But tell me a little bit about doubles.
Doubles is essentially the exact same thing, except you bring 6 also, and you pick 4, and then it's 2v2 obviously. But for the most part, the rules are identical in terms of the two. No G-Maxes, Galar decks only, no same items, no same Pokemon, etc.
So the one thing that I find very different between singles and doubles is specifically the move sets. Like you will see a ton more protect. You'll see wide guard. You will never see wide guard in singles. And anytime that anybody mentions wide guard or follow me or helping hand, I'm like, no,
what's that?
No, I don't know what those moves are. Those aren't moves. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's actually been a pretty large adjustment for me, putting together my team, because I'm like, oh, I know what I would build, say an Aegislash for singles, but I don't know if I would build the same thing for doubles. I will say that Swords Dance is a move that I use in singles, but I've found kind of in my research that I don't think it can work at all in doubles.
I just feel like right now in general, setup moves aren't even strong because you can use Dynomax moves to set up. Like that's something I find like instead of setting up a Swords Dance, I mean you could just hit 2 Dynomax fighting moves and then you get a +2.
Right.
Yeah, like you might as well do damage while you're getting a stat boost instead of just waiting a turn.
Have you been finding that there's still the stat decreasing moves?
Stat decreasing moves, not really. The only ones I can think of off the top of my head are Max Wormwind, which decreases the enemy's side of the field's attack. It's essentially an Intimidate, and that's usually exclusive to like Dragapult is like the best user of it right now because it's so fast. And then like Max Strike, lower speed. Almost no one uses that one. That's the normal one. But I'm finding a lot of defense boosting ones, not attack boosting ones. I mean, defense boosting. It's like I think that's ground boosts special defense and steel boosts defense.
Okay.
And I mean it's just a way of making a Pokemon with very little weaknesses and already naturally bulky, just unkillable. And it's actually very irritating. It like almost makes me think of running Roar on a Pokemon. It's that irritating.
Wow. I wonder if we're gonna start seeing that in VGC or
you might
ranked doubles. Yeah.
I might be bringing
it makes so much sense, right? Like to roar out a Dynomax. Can you do that?
Yeah, I think you can. And if not, you can use Clear Smog or other moves like that can clear their ability, their stat boosts.
True. There was something I was going to say, but it's evaded me, so I'm going to come back to that. So I'm looking further into. We like to create notes every week just so we have something to follow. And I'm seeing that there was a leaked rule set by a former world champion. What's that, Kevin?
Yeah, Seijin Park tweeted like a tweet, obviously, of like the rule set for VGC 2020. Now this could all be his conjecture, but either way, I think the tweet was removed. Seijin Park was you might have heard of him. He's the guy that brought a Pachirisu and won at Worlds.
I remember that. Yeah,
he's that guy.
Oh my god.
So there's like a translation of it on Reddit. If you guys want the link, we'll post it in the descriptions of wherever you're seeing this. But it pretty much just confirms that. Well, I guess not confirms because it's not confirmed itself, but it just reinstates the fact that doubles battle spot is gonna be the rule set for VGC.
Interesting. Which is
what we thought. Yeah,
that's kind of what it has been in the past too, right? It's just this is solidifying the idea that that there is not going to be any G-Maxers, which again makes sense. Like they didn't allow Ash Greninja in previous VGCs.
Yeah, exclusivity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense.
And it's also broken. I remember that was allowed in Smogon tiers. And
Ash Greninja?
Yeah, and it was just immediately OU. It's just so good. It was a way to bring Greninja and not have it be like Protean busted, but still have it be good.
It was busted in a different way.
Yeah,
exactly. So this kind of brings me back to what we were saying at the very beginning. We knew that the rules were kind of going to be like this. So I mean that's good.
We were right. We were right about something on this podcast.
I'm finally happy to say that we were right about at least one thing.
And that's when the rules come out next week, and it's not this at all.
Yeah, really. Actually, it's only G-Maxers.
Nothing else.
Yeah, you're only allowed to Gigantamax 1, but you have to have a team comprised of Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, a Lapras, a Snorlax, a Butterfree, and a Charizard. Sure, why not? Just everybody has a Charizard.
This year we're doing a inverse triple battles.
Yeah.
We decided to God,
inverse triple battles. What were inverse battles? It was weaknesses are strengths and strengths are weaknesses, right?
Yep. It was flip-flopped, yeah. I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, that's terrible.
I want there to be the option to do it in this game, though. I don't think there is. I honestly haven't looked at it, but that would be cool. I'd like that. Mm-hmm. So how does you've been doing like years worth of online ranked battles in the past week. So
I have like 90 battles.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about how the ranked system works.
So for the way that it works this year is actually different than other years. Okay. And I actually like the way that it is this year for like a multitude of reasons. But first, I guess I should explain what it is. There's 5 different tiers for the online ranked battles. There's beginner tier, Pokeball tier, Great Ball tier, Ultra Ball tier, Master Ball tier. Obviously, you start in the beginner tier, and it puts you through a set of ranks. So the beginner tier, you only go against people that are also in that tier. So that prevents you from going against, people that are just completely out of your skill level. And that also makes it so that, if you are good in that tier, and if you do go on a win streak, then you obviously get pushed farther and farther into the greater tiers. Like that's the easiest way to climb, is going on win streaks. If you go on a losing streak, you're gonna stay where you are. You can't actually demote from a tier.
No way, really?
Yeah, you can't demote from a tier. So like once I'm in Masterball tier, I don't go anywhere until the end of the season. which is nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder, do they do any kind of, like reseeding or like putting you in a previous tier? Reseed. Does it always does it do that for everybody? Does it just kick everybody back to beginner?
No, it pushes you. I think there's like an MMR. It pushes you back to where your win-loss would be. Mm-hmm. So, but for the most part, it'll push you back like around the tier. It said that you might lose a rank or two, depending on how good you're performing in those ranks. But it's super interesting because like beginner tier is comprised of 3 different ranks. So like there's beginner 1, beginner 2, beginner 3. Mm-hmm. And once you complete beginner 3, you're moved on to the Pokeball tier, which has Pokeball 4, 5, and 6. Once
Great
you complete
Ball has 7, 8, 9.
6. Yeah. And then Ultra Ball is just 10.
Oh.
So the way I like to like compare it to is I don't know about most competitive video games, but I used to know a lot about competitive League of Legends, mm-hmm. and in there you have a tier called like, Masters, or you used to have a tier called Masters, and then the top 200 of that was Challenger. So it's a tier within a tier. So Ultra Ball is just a rank of 10, and then after that is Master Ball. So and once you get into Master Ball, it's like a ladder system. It's super cool because once you get into, because you don't see any numbers until you get to Master Ball tier. Once you're in Master Ball tier, you have like a top 1. It's like a list. You have top 100, and then it'll keep going to top thousands. Like when I entered, I was 1,400 something. I entered in that number, and you know what? Want to know what's crazy? Is that your number will change. Like your position on the ladder will move down if you're not playing. I was moved the next day after a whole day of work that I didn't get to play. I was moved to like 1,900. Like you have to keep playing or else you will keep dropping. People, pass in front of you.
So what did you make it up to?
I didn't play today. I was breeding all day.
Oh, so you were at 1,900 and you're still there.
I'm probably lower now. I haven't checked.
Right. Wow. Do you think that that's going to play into the tournament setting at all? Like maybe to like top 5, top 10? Do you think like there's bragging rights kind of associated with that?
I've already had a couple peoples on my follows list that are like bragging about their spot. So yeah, I could totally see it as bragging rights. And honestly, just seeing it as like a solid number instead of an MMR system like they had before. Like, 15 was baseline, however far away you were from 1,500 was, where you were.
Right.
Like the top of the ladder could be, 1,900 this season, which doesn't feel good. But when you say I'm top 100, like there's bragging rights to that. Yeah. There's like it feels a lot better than saying, oh, I'm 1890 on the ladder.
Well, I can't wait to see all these people on Twitch. Like you know that under the Pokemon Sword and Shield category, it's going to be like, oh, top 10 in ranked battles doing
absolutely,
streamer giveaways and whatnot. So you see that a lot in games like Hearthstone that also has a similar. Actually, now that I think about it, Hearthstone has the exact same model. You have you have like 3 stars per rank, and eventually you get to like 5 stars per rank. It's kind of going backwards in that sense. But once you get to legend status, you're within the top like approximately 1,000. I wonder if Masterball tier is going to be just completely overcrowded until it, until the ladder resets. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the one. Like that's why I said it's like a kind of a double-edged sword for not declining once you're in a tier, because technically anybody can get to master if you play enough games.
Yeah.
Right. If you just spam games, if you play 1,000 games, I promise you'll eventually get to masters.
Right.
Like. That's the thing. So eventually it will be overcrowded. And a lot of these people are saying, oh, I'm top 100. They just got there before everybody else. Like, people are coming for them, They're going to lose their spot eventually. And if they don't keep playing, they're going to lose their spot. But you know what? I like that because it gives you an incentive to keep playing. Like,
it does.
I was playing this last night. I have to go to work in the morning, Mike. I couldn't stop. I just like, if you lose one, you're like, damn, I need to win 2 now because I need to go back to where I just dropped off.
Oh no.
And just the fact that you're competing with everyone in real time, everyone in the world that's in Masterball tier is competing with you real time. You just have to keep playing. But you know what? That's a way to make competitive, long lasting. Like
Right.
I could see this last a whole life cycle. In like terms of Battlespot didn't last the whole life cycle. Towards the end of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, nobody was on Battlespot. They were all on Showdown if they were still playing Pokemon.
People got bored.
Yeah.
People got super bored.
Mm-hmm. So I think, this is definitely, like, this tier system is definitely the way to go. This is you're Kevin approved for this one.
Now, I will say for all of you guys who are, aspiring Pokemon champions, to be number one on ranked does not necessarily mean that you are number one in the world, right? Like to be number one in ranked can often mean that you've just been the guy who has the most guy or girl who's had the most time on their hands, So you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. To be at number one, depending on your time investment, can be a very brag-worthy thing, but don't let it go to your head, buddy.
Yeah, to be number one, you gotta win worlds. How about you work on getting there first?
And even then,
yeah, even then you'll probably be usurped the next year.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
That. And also, I mean, like, for people who've made it to worlds, yes, it means they're good. But to me, it also kind of means that they've had a lot of time and resources to get to all of these places and compete and get the points that's needed to actually get there. It's not like you're like scouted by some talent scout and sent to an open qualifier or whatever. Doesn't Worlds have open qualifiers?
They used to, not anymore.
Oh.
They got rid of that.
So there's another thing that we can talk about another time. It's just the fact
you
that they
actually have to qualify.
Yeah. Like they're making it so you have to go to all of your regional areas to go in and compete. It's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, especially
because a lot of them are everywhere. Yeah.
Especially when there aren't a lot of online tournaments. Now, I will say, do we not have an online tournament coming up this weekend?
I think signups are December 5th. You have to be signed up on that day or by that day.
Because I think the actual tournament is the 6th to the 8th. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but that's a singles tournament.
Oh, it's
but
a
singles. I think you still do get prizes. You might just get BP. Also, there's another thing I want to mention. If you get to Masterball Tier, you get 600 BP at the end of the season.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you get 600 BP.
That's amazing.
There's your incentive, Mike.
There's my incentive. I guess
and you can get to Master Tier in singles and doubles and get 1,200.
When does the next season start?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably going to be like a quarterly thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can't imagine it being monthly. I think monthly is way too short. I can't imagine it being like biannually because no one's going to play in the same league for 6 months. I hope that they do 3 months. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Do you think the rules are going to change in between?
I hope they do. That would be really cool. Like that kind of seems like that's the route that Pokemon in general wants to go, right? Like they restricted the decks, they restricted the move pools, they added. Well, actually, I shouldn't say restricted. They changed around the move pools. You were saying earlier that Hawlucha is insane now.
It's so good. Yeah. If you pair it with the right Pokemon, it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see if people actually use Hawlucha because I feel like right now a lot of people are straying away from certain Pokemon because they were traditionally bad, but right now, like, there's the opportunity for certain Pokemon to come out and shine, and we might actually see that coming up after the break. So actually, you know what? That's what we'll do right now. Let's take a little break. When we come back, let's go into kind of our own experiences with ranked online. We'll talk a little bit about the meta, and we'll see if any of those Pokemon made it into the new meta, into the new world. So we'll see you in just a second. All right, and we are back, everybody. I hope you've been having a nice time listening to Pokésports thus far. I was actually just thinking with Kevin that the past couple of weeks have been such an interesting experience for us. I feel like it's for you, you can tell me about your own experiences, but for me, it's been able to actually like keep me grounded in Pokemon and like try and understand it from a whole point of view rather than like these are my 6 Pokemon and these are the 6 Pokemon that I'm going to make. And like, no, I need to try and think of the entire dex and like the entire competitive aspect of it and try and get it that way.
Yeah, I think something a lot of people don't realize when you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast is that me and Mike don't come into this with a complete knowledge of everything. We learn from each other. We learn from our research. Like, not only is this like teaching us more about the meta, it's also teaching you guys what we are learning in real time.
Yeah, exactly. We're all doing this together.
Like, who knew there were experience tiers, Mike? Who knew?
I had no idea. Oh my god! The amount of research that I've been doing on Pokemon in general is just staggering. How much I didn't know. I thought I knew so much because like I made videos on it. I talked about it, and I tried to be an expert on it. And I mean, like compared to a lot of people, I would consider myself more of an expert on Pokemon, but certainly not to the tier that the internet has shown me. It's really helped.
There's
me
just so
step up my
much.
game. Yeah, exactly.
There's so much,
and that's what we're here to do for you guys. We're here.
That
to help
means
you
more
step up your
podcasts.
game. Exactly, more podcast stuff. So, let's get into our actual battle experience now. For me, I haven't had a ton this week. It's been a time putting together all of the Pokemon. I am looking to make the team that we talked about last week. I'm going to show you where I'm at with that right now. So up on the screen, if you can't see it, I'll try and talk it out for you. I have my 6 Pokemon. I've hatched them all from the eggs or caught them all in in wherever the dens, max raids that you need to do. So I have my Aegislash. It's only level 76, but that's all right. I don't actually need that one to be fully level 100 because it is properly IV'd, it is properly EV'd, and it has, well, natures you can kind of give it at any point. The only things that I've been really thinking about is like I need certain Pokemon to be at level 100, and that's kind of been the biggest detriment to my putting together a team, is because I need that Dracovish to be level 100 because I don't have a perfect 6 IV or 5 IV version of it. So I need to hyper train it, and hyper training needs your Pokemon to be level 100.
Yeah.
And
are you just for leveling? Are you just using experience candies?
I'm just using experience candies, and then when it's close enough to 100, I'm going to give it some rare candies.
Oh well, you have the Poke Job option too.
That's right. How many levels does that give?
It gives it like around 46,000 experience.
46,000. Oh, okay.
So it's essentially.
Is that just a little more than an XL, right?
Yeah, it's like 15,000 more than an XL, which is pretty good. But it takes 24 hours to get all of it, unless you
do
exploit.
The thing.
Yeah, unless you do the thing.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, listen, I'm not, like we've mentioned last time, I'm not above doing the thing. So maybe I'll give that a shot. I knew about jobs when it comes to EVs, but I didn't know it when it comes to EXP. That's interesting.
Yeah, just 9-star ones are what you want to go for. You can even if they ask for like a specific type, it doesn't matter. You can just stick anything there. Right. They'll just tell you, oh, maybe you should try something else next time, but you don't actually have to.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah. Well, then you know what? I might just try that after the stream's done. Interesting. So with that in mind, the rest of these are going to be whatever, but Pelipper is ready to go, minus its levels. Frostmoth, I had such a lucky time one night just trying to get hidden ability Frostmoth with Icy Scales.
Oh yeah, you got really lucky.
I got so lucky.
Yeah.
I did like a den reset like maybe 3 or 4 times. I hit a Frostmoth, I caught it, and I was like, oh, this one has Icy Scales. I guess I'm done.
Well, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh.
Kevin spent 3 days on the Sableye. My God, in 3 tries.
That did cross my mind. I will say that did cross my mind.
Holy.
The Toxel I haven't even touched because I keep going back and forth between.
That's annoying to breed too.
Honestly, yeah, because you need to make it a friggin' Toxtricity first. And I just don't want to. I can't be bothered. So Toxel's whatever. He's another guy who I'll put at level 100 and just kind of hyper train through whatever else I need to do. There isn't any like whatever. I'm not going to ask about if there's any cheap way to get Hypertrain BP stuff, but is it BP? No, it's bottle caps. Yeah, which need BP.
Cheap way? No. I mean, you could just then reset and get them, or just spam them at the Diglett Duo.
You can get bottle caps at dens?
Yeah, some drop them.
Is it just a chance?
Or I think specific ones. Specific Pokemon can drop them. You'd have to like Cerebi hunt for that and see which ones do which.
You can kind of farm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that's my team though. I'm still really liking the team. You know what I should do is I should actually plug it into Pokemon Showdown and see how that works. But I don't want to. I want to try that kind of in the game meta. You know, like learn what it's like from the actual game, because you'll always find that when you try something out on Showdown, it's going to perform completely different than how it's going to perform here. Because on Showdown, not only do they sometimes have Pokemon that aren't legal yet, but they also have Pokemon that are just easier to create and easier to get going. So scarcity is a big factor in the in-game meta. So you got to keep that in mind,
especially with hidden abilities.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. You're going to see a lot less Frostmoths in game right now because it's a hard Pokemon to get.
I've seen maybe one in my 890 battles, and just because obviously that hidden ability, but it's not a bad Pokemon. Because I've seen a video of it living like in the sun Gigantamax flare from a Megazord. Yeah. You know, it's like, damn, that's 4 times effective and it lives at half HP.
You know what?
That's ridiculous.
I remember the thing that I was going to say before that evaded me. The one big problem I have with Pokemon right now, and Dynamaxing specifically, is that max moves, you can't tell if they're physical or special.
Yes, you can't.
To me, that's really annoying because I'm putting together this Aegislash and I'm trying to think like from the other person's perspective. If I were facing an Aegislash that had just Dynamaxed, I would be thinking that everything that it was using is physical. But for me, I'm building a special Aegislash. If somebody else built a special Aegislash, then the things that they're using on me, I can't know what to defend myself again's.
And the animations are identical.
Exactly.
Too.
The animations are identical. The move names are identical. It's tough because like normally if an Aegislash like O-code one of your Pokemon, then you could just be like, okay, so this is a defense, or this is a physically offensive Aegislash. Let me send out physically defensive Pokemon. But now, if something knocks out my Pokemon in one hit through a max move, I don't know what to send out next. It completely throws me off.
I mean, I guess the one way of just like finding out would be, oh, this is a specially defensive Mon and he's able to OHKO me, he's probably physical. But then that's at that point you're sacrificing a Mon just to learn what his set is.
And a better way to kind of play toward that and kind of abuse that system is hit a Pokemon who doesn't necessarily have particularly high defense or special defense.
Yeah.
So like your first attack should be on a Pokemon that's weak in kind of both ways. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work with Aegislash, how being especially offensive is going to play into that, because I do have the Rillaboom for my physical offensive and the Dracovish, which oh my god
it's disgusting.
Oh my god,
it's disgusting, Mike. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am just from videos that I've seen. I'm ashamed of Dracovish, but I want to. I mean, let's be honest.
It has counters. It's not. It's a meme at this point. It's strong. It's stronger than it should be, but it's not unbeatable. And I think people are blowing it out of proportion.
Actually, you did find something that can deal with it, right?
Yeah, Prankster Sableye. It's so easy. You just willow it. and then it's gone.
I was actually
Gastrodon, he can't touch.
Oh, true.
He can't even go for a water move. Like, he just can't do anything with Gastrodon on the field. Yeah.
See, I was thinking Storm Drain, right? So I was thinking
even
better. Of the Clefable that you were telling me about. And Clefable is actually one of the big things that's sticking out of my mind after saying the whole, oh, what do I do against, especially and physically offensive, defensive kind of stuff. Because Clefable is one of those Pokemon that can use, Cosmic Power to up both the defense and special defense. And that's definitely a Pokemon that I want to build up next. I want to build up a Cosmic Power Clefable with Stored Power and Moonblast and that.
Oh, there's their singles.
Exactly.
There's your singles team.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bunch of Clefable if you need.
Yes, I do.
I made a bunch today.
Why, thank you. Let's get into
back
your
to
team.
Well, wait, first I want to just touch something. Back to what you were saying about the physical and special uncertainty. It's right now that's actually being seen with still the most popular Pokemon in terms of online and like the battle spot. Dragapult. You don't know which it is because it's so good, specially and or physically, to the point where there are just some times I'm like, I don't know if I should willow this, but I'm just gonna willow it because you don't know. And then you see it's going for a move, and then you die, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess he was special.
Or
and you're just kind of in that situation.
Or there's also the opportunity to run both. You have Draco Meteor and then your physical moves, so that when you D-Max, you don't know what the max Wormwind is actually going to be. Like, is it going to be special? Is it going to be physical? It doesn't even matter because the Draco Meteor that you put on, it's not going to lower stats for another 3 turns if you D-Max your guy. Right? Like,
you know what I've been seeing is actually a mix. It's like they specialize in physical because they do get the clear body, so Intimidate doesn't bother them. Status decreasing moves don't bother them from other Gigantamax moves. I mean the D-Max moves. So what I've been seeing is Dragon Darts, which is interesting because I thought it was going to be bad, but it has smart targeting, and I didn't know that.
Smart targeting.
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
Targeting?
Okay, I'm going to try to explain this as simply as I can.
Please.
So you have 2 Pokemon on the field, right? These are your 2 opposing Pokemon, are my fingers. You go for... is it Dragon Darts or darting something?
Dragon Dart.
It's signature move. And, it'll hit this one and this one. But say this one goes for Protect, so I'm protecting myself.
No.
Then Dragon Darts will smart target both of them to this left Pokemon.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it has smart target.
This
is the first time this has happened in Pokemon. It's super interesting.
and both of those attacks are 50 power, right?
50 power Dragon Stab, yeah.
Because, wow, that's
which would be 100 base power, essentially.
That is nuts. I love it.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be bad because I was like, oh, might as well use Breaking Swipe. And this is one of our first episodes too. I'm like, what's the point of this move in doubles? It's like, you just might as well use Breaking Swipe. But no, yeah.
Are you finding it hard to integrate something with Breaking Swipe?
I haven't put it on anything yet. So
have you seen it used against you?
No. Because people would just rather use a D-Max move. D-Max Wormwood does the same thing.
Right. Okay.
It lowers my entire side of the field's attack. So
interesting.
You just might as well use that.
Huh. All right. So let's go into your team. You sent me your team a little while ago, and I was taking a tiny little look at it, and there've been a lot of changes. I know how much you like your Sableye, and I feel like that's probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, I have it on everything.
That and your Darmanitan.
Darmanitan, I did make a little bit of a tweaks to it. I added Choice Scarf instead of Choice Band.
Yeah, you put a scarf on it.
Because there's just been situations to where, like, say they knock out my Sableye, I'm now slow, and then my Darmanitan's an easy Oko also. And then I just have 2 easy Okos back to back, and that just, just having a 2-0 deficit turn 1 isn't good. Because then it's like 2 Pokemon versus 4, which is, the odds aren't in your favor. No. So I decided Scarf, because Scarf, you can still outspeed Dragapult. So you go for Scarf, you can Ice Cold Crash it, take care of it. And I think the also other changes I made, I added a Rotom Wash. Actually, I changed almost everything else.
Yeah, it looks like.
I've made at least 6 changes to my team.
That's wow.
Since I started competitive.
I feel like your Aegislash is going to be exactly my Aegislash.
That's your standard Aegislash. Yeah. It's a very simple Aegislash.
See, but that's another one where I'm like, oh, hey, wide guard is a thing. What does wide guard do?
I haven't needed wide guard do. It
exactly.
Just no, I know what it does. I just don't know how to explain. Well, spread moves, right? Like Earthquake, Rock Slide.
Yeah.
It just nullifies them. They don't happen. And it has priority too, so you get that priority.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't needed it because I haven't gone against anything that even goes for Earthquake or Rock Slide. I mean, I know you guys are all screaming at me right now.
Yeah.
Wait,
people screaming.
You're all screaming at me right now. Excadrill, Tyranitar. I don't have a problem with those Pokemon.
Right.
Because all I have to do is just Sableye burn them, fake them out, quash them, just hit them with a superpower from my monkey. I mean, it's all good.
I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, what wants to use Earthquake on your team? Like, not even like the Excadrill and whatnot on the other team, Excadrill T-Tar, but what partner would you have on your team that they would want to use Earthquake on? Just the Arcanine, it looks like.
Aegislash too.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the Aegislash is the biggest.
But I welcome Earthquakes because I have weakness policy.
Right. True.
Yeah.
True.
At that point, I'm fine.
So, would you think that you'd change wide guard to something else?
I would just have a hard time deciding what I would change it to. That'd be my main problem.
Maybe a nice
fighting type move. A fighting type move is always good. Like fighting types are important because Excadrill, T-Tar, they're still very prevalent. They're not as popular as they were last week. Right. And we'll get into like meta shifts later on in this episode. We're actually spending a lot of time talking about each individual point, which I like because I could talk about this for hours.
I know.
But
I noticed from the last episode, like we went on for a good hour and a half. So we're gonna have to not. We're gonna have to speed through this last bit a bit.
Yeah.
But okay, so tell me a little bit about the Sylveon ad.
Oh yeah, the Sylveon ad. I added Magical Leaf.
Oh yeah.
The reason I added Magical Leaf. Yeah, I didn't know. But the reason why I added Magical Leaf is because I got rid of my Ferrothorn for like the addition of my Aegislash, which removes my, grass move. So I get completely walled by Gastrodon, which is actually prevalent now because of Dracovish and because of Whimsicott Arcanine combination.
Right.
You have the Gastrodon to cover those two, and it walls my team. It takes care of my Aegislash, takes care of my Arcanine. My Rotom can't touch it. Like
right.
I'm walled by it. So I was like, okay, Dynomax, Sylveon, Magical Leaf, boom. I can outkill Gastrodon. That's all I have to worry about.
You don't seem to
That's
have
what I needed.
You don't seem to have a need for any psychic moves.
No, I haven't needed psychic. Because what's Psychic good against? Fighting?
Yep.
Actually,
on that note, you don't have any flying moves either.
Because I have Sylveon. If I needed to take care of my fighting types.
Right. Yeah.
Sylveon just doesn't care.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I found this as like something I was thinking of earlier. Psychic and Fairy are very similar typings. I call them like a type, like symbiote. Like they both do pretty much similar things, except Fairy's just better because it could hit dark types, in my opinion. Right. So if you can run a Fairy over a Psychic, go for it.
You could kind of say the same thing about Grass and Bug. Like your team doesn't have a ton of bug moves, but you do have some good coverage against bug types with Sylveon's Mystical Fire and Darmanitan's Flare Blitz, Arcanine's Flare Blitz.
There's actually a funny story about bug as a typing. I've made, like I said, like 6 teams.
Yeah.
In every team, I have like 5 or 4 resistances to bug, and I don't even mean to. Like that's how bad of a typing bug is. Is that I accidentally have a whole team resistant to it. Like, on this team right now, I have 1, 2, 3 that I can count off the top. 4.
Yeah. Wow.
No, 3.
Just looking at that. Yeah. It's very, very close. That's nuts. There must be like some bug Pokemon that's good out there right now. What have we seen? Have we seen Galvantula at all? I know I was talking about it before. Have you seen?
I haven't seen Galvantula.
How about Centiskorch?
No, not that either. Centiskorch is too slow. That's Centiskorch's problem.
Really it had the same problem that who was the one that got speed boost?
Speed boost.
Yeah, there was a bug poison.
Oh, Ninjask.
Not Ninjask.
It's not poison.
It was the
another one?
The long guy.
Oh, Scolipede.
Scolipede, yeah.
Yeah.
Scolipede
got that's saw like some usage in like low tier singles battles.
That was a good UU singles guy. Yeah.
He was like an entry hazard setter, right?
That's right. He was. Oh, good for you. You remember some singles. All right, so let's move on from your team. Wow, this screen that I'm looking at right here. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at.
We are looking at the Galar Weekly. If you guys don't know the Galar Weekly, it's an online VGC tournament has around 100 people participating in it every week. I think it starts on Saturday at 11 a.m. I think just to give credit to who's in charge of it, at Professor Shroomish on Twitter.
Nice name.
Who's
Dead Pokemon.
Yeah, yep. Dead Pokemon. Rest in peace. For Illuminati, got it. Okay. And we're looking at the usages for that tournament. As you can see, like something that I want to talk about, or like just looking at these usages, is a meta shift. And meta shifts are pretty much where week by week or every bi-weekly, like you'll see that Pokemon that were popular will no longer or are less used and slowly start going towards irrelevancy because more and more counters arrive. And then your new goal becomes to counter those counters. And it's just like it's like a never-ending cycle. This tends to happen with condensed decks metagames. And because the reason being is, you don't have those Pokemon that are just so oppressive, like Incineroar, that just become viable throughout the whole metagame's life cycle. Like, what's crazy about Incineroar is that even when VGC 19 had 3 different metagames, like their rules changed 3 times, and Incineroar was prevalent for all 3 of them. Like, that's how strong that Pokemon is. So, yeah, this is exciting for me because I think meta shifts are fun. They keep the game fresh.
Absolutely.
You start seeing new Pokemon over and over. So the fact that it's happening on the first week is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's just mind-blowing. But as you can see, the meta is very clearly shapen by like the top 10 Pokemon here.
Right. So among which we're obviously seeing Dracovish just in the number 10 slot. But I'm really curious about that number 1. 82% of teams are using Excadrill.
Excadrill. What's funny is that the reason why they're using it is almost not entirely because of Excadrill. Excadrill is a good Pokemon.
Okay.
It hits hard, has access to Mold Breaker, is good with the Sash, is good with a Band, has good typing. Steel is very good against Fairies. Fairies are obviously very strong. Ground's very good against Fire types. Fires are very strong. But what's making it like over the top good is the speed change. Do you know about the speed change, Mike? Made this? Yeah, they made a change to speed this season.
Just how this speed game works?
Yeah, speed is determined after the fact, not before the fact.
What does that mean?
So, say you have an Excadrill on the field, no sand. Next to him is a Rotom.
Yeah.
Rotom goes for Volt Switch. As a Scarf to Rotom, it goes first. Rotom goes for Volt Switch. Volt switches into a Tyranitar. Sand is up. Then his speed gets boosted at that second. Immediately. And then his speed tier rises above the others.
So in that specific scenario, actually that's crazy. So you just look at the top 3 Pokemon.
Speed is live.
For those of you
it's
who
not
are
determined
just
before.
Listening to this, number 1 Excadrill, number 2 63%, tied at 63% with Tyranitar. You want to know the reason that those 2 are tied at 63% is because they're both used in tandem.
In cohesion.
Rotom with a Scarf uses Volt Switch, gets some damage in. So basically, you're having like 2 full HP Pokemon against 1.5 or 1 3/4 HP Pokemon. You switch from Rotom into Tyranitar, who sets up Sand. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
And then Excadrill, who has is it Sand Force or whatever it makes it?
Sand Rush. Makes it fast. Makes it super fast.
Is now able to outspeed most things, a lot of things.
And
wow,
the way it was in previous games, that speed was determined before the turn started.
Right.
So he wouldn't get that sand rush until the following turn. But now speed is live. Speed is counted live. This also includes things like Tailwind. You'll get Tailwind
Welcome
that first
to
turn.
Whimsicott number 4. Wow, this makes so much sense.
That speed change is defining the metagame. A lot of people are saying that so far this metagame is nothing but speed control. And guess what? That's the reason I have Sableye.
Right.
Speed control. Because all of those Pokemon mean nothing to a Quash.
That's why you
except
never
Tyranitar, because
see...
they can't Quash it.
That's so strange. Like, you never see Quash. I feel like we're going to start seeing a lot more Quash.
The problem is Sableye is the only good user of it this generation. All the other
see.
ones are too slow. And Sableye gets Prankster. That's why it's good. Quash doesn't have priority on its
does
own.
it not?
No,
interesting.
sadly.
So
you have to be faster.
And so are the rest of them, like number 5 Corviknight, number 6 Dragapult, tied with
also...
number 6 Sylveon? Is that all for coverage that is benefited by speed, or?
Well, Corviknight's its own. Like, Corviknight was the early form of speed control. Like that, people are using Corviknight a lot on like the first and second day. And that's how crazy this meta is changing by day, Mike. Because you can Dmax set up your flying move, your Dmax flying move, and that gives your whole side of the field a +1, which gets factored in immediately. So.
Come on with that.
That's why Corviknight became very used.
Interesting. And then you see your
good,
heavy hitters coming directly after that.
And something else I want to notice, you may notice that Excadrill is actually being used without Tyranitar, because Excadrill is at 82, Tyranitar is at 63. Yes. So there are some people that are using without. If you Dmax Excadrill, you could set up your own sand. You don't need a Tyranitar. You just
because of
Dmax sand move. Yeah.
Huh.
This meta is all over the place.
This meta
There's a lot of things
nuts.
you could do. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, that's really good. Oh no, where'd you go? Where did you go? There you went. Okay, we're good.
And Dragapult's just used as speed control because it's the fastest damn Pokemon in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let's go into the second screen here. So we're looking at top team stats right now. Tell me about what top team stats means. Because I was looking at this and I was like, I don't totally understand.
No, this is the second week. The first one was the first week. This is the second week. Oh. So we're looking at meta shift.
So between the first and second week, here's
how it's changing. Yeah.
So now we're seeing a lot more T-Tar.
Yeah, T-Tar is actually more prevalent. In fact, it was actually on a team without Excadrill at one point. Excadrill is dropping far down. It's still very good.
Right.
It's still very used. But you're seeing a shift backwards, not a shift forwards. That means there are some people in this next week that are no longer using it. They didn't see use for it on their team. But a new thing, a new flavor of the week that's been destroying the battle spot is Arcanine and Whimsicott. Justified Arcanine would beat up Whimsicott specifically.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see, Arcanine came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no,
it popped out, number 4 spot. Whimsicott fell back farther, but it's still there. It's still relevant. It's like top 15. But yeah, Arcanine with Justified is just really strong. It's very hard to go against. There are a few ways to counter it. You can, use a Follow Me user to redirect that beat up. You can use a fake out user to fake out the Whimsicott, etc., etc.
I'm noticing some really interesting new Pokemon this week too. I'm not sure if they were back there. Let me go up here and see if they're there. No, they're not. So I'm looking at Mimikyu, I'm looking at Rotom-Mow, and I'm looking at Galarian Weezing. Yeah, Galarian Weezing wasn't there either. Have you been seeing some Galarian Weezings? Is that because of Clear Smog and its ability?
No, it's just because of neutralizing gas because of the because if you think about what that's good against, you get rid of Tyranitar Sandstream.
Yes.
You get rid of Rotom's Levitate. You get rid of Arcanine's Justified. You get rid of a lot of the things that are making these Pokemon oppressive. You get rid of Sylveon's Pixelate.
Right.
Like, you're going to have a Sylveon actually shooting off normal moves and be completely useless.
Huh. You know what? This is really interesting. And I'd love to see If not from one of us, then anybody out there. I'm giving you guys free content. Here you go. I would love to see. I don't know if you've ever seen, Kevin, these videos of like the most popular cell phone brand or phone brands from 1960 to present day, and it's just like this rolling chart of like this was popular, and then this company came in and took over, right? Like I'd love to see the same thing for like the top 10 to 15 Pokemon
that would be
on the
so
weekly
cool.
stats. So like the first week you see a lot of Excadrill, and then Excadrill gets the same treatment that Excadrill got at like the beginning of, I believe it was X and Y, where like it was super popular at the beginning, and then everybody was like, oh wait, but there are like a billion ways to kill this. So it started to fall in popularity slowly, and I think that's what we're seeing now is just Excadrill falling down with T-Tar coming up, and people being like, oh wait, T-Tar's just a better Pokemon, so people are using Tyranitar a lot more. And it's just going to keep on going down like that. Arcanine's going to come out of nowhere. Mimikyu comes out of nowhere because now it can handle Dragapult. It can handle what else fell like right out? I don't see Whimsicott. Whimsicott's on 13 from 4.
Yeah, Whimsicott dropped down in terms of speed control. Well, you also have to look. A lot of people are using a lot more diverse Pokemon now. There's a lot more Pokemon here in comparison to look how many Pokemon are tied at 22.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah. Look at that. So like Whimsicott might have just fallen down just out of sheer like numbers alone. Like they're just more Pokemon to choose from. It's still because Whimsicott's still very relevant. I think so at least.
Braviary too. Just kind
the reason why. Oh yeah, Braviary completely switched spots with Corviknight actually.
Yeah. People are just using Braviary instead.
It gets Defiant. And I guess it's just people didn't have the hidden ability the first week. They had it the second week. Right? But yeah, the reason why I think also Mimikyu has dropped down is because Mimikyu right now is being used exclusively as a beat up to Arcanine's Justified.
Right.
But there are other Pokemon that could do it too. Like Dragapult is actually a very good, useful beat up user. Dragapult gets beat up. It's really fast, and guess what? You can't fake it out. So that's one way gone that you can deal with that Pokemon. Whimsicott just falls short because you can fake it out, and you can like make that wait another turn, but you can't fake out Dragapult. Like, what are you supposed to do? You can only like redirect Follow Me, or just double target the Arcanine, hope you kill it. But it's usually Assault Vested and tanky, so you probably won't kill it.
That's amazing. Okay,
yeah,
that's really good to see. Also, honorable mention for my buddy Cough Egregious. I'm seeing it number 22 at 4.7% usage. Looks like a lot of people have traded over their Galarian Yamask for a regular Yamask, bringing that thing up and using that. I loved using Cough Egregious. That was on my team.
It is a very strong Pokemon.
My singles team. That and Conkeldurr, which I'm seeing also tied at number 22 at 4.7%. Actually, everybody in the last 10 slots are tied at 4.7% this week. So
Conkeldurr is one of the few Pokemon that can O-code Tyranitar with a Mach Punch. Yeah, that's why it's there.
That's great. You know what? I think what we're gonna do and what we should do. Maybe I'll run this by you first. Is let's take these stats once a week. Let's post these on our Instagram and our Twitter at Pokésports Podcast on Instagram and Pokésports Pod on Twitter because the name was too long. And that can be where everybody who's listening to this outside of Twitch and outside of YouTube can see the stats for this week. Because I think that everybody should be looking at these and not exactly following them, but at least making yourself aware of some of the new Pokemon popping up in the meta. Yeah. So
and another thing to mention is that this is only taken from like 100 person tournament. Like the battle spot is obviously very different, but this is just your idea because this is a tournament with a prize and stuff, I think, or is it just for fun? Well, people want to win, so they're gonna bring their best. Is what
Exactly.
The people aren't testing their Pokemon there. They're going to win there.
Yes.
That's the difference between that and BattleSpot.
Oh, for sure. BattleSpot is a Battle Tower, I guess it's now, is all about just testing out your team, seeing what works. A lot of what you find might win at BattleSpot, Battle Tower is not what's going to win at tournaments, because everybody is, not everybody, but a lot of people are testing out their things. So what's working for you, you might just be beating a lot of experimental teams, which, I mean, more power to you if you're winning, but don't get a big head about it. I'm just that's going to be my mantra for the entire
don't get
Pokemon
a big head.
thing.
We need a Pokemon with a big head.
Exactly.
Don't get
look at these Pokemon here. Who has the
Galarian Persian?
Galarian Persian has a big.
Oh no, Dragovich. Oh jeez, yeah, look at that thing.
Yeah, exactly, Dragovich. Big head.
Don't be a Dragovich.
Don't be a Dragovich. That's our slogan.
Oh, something that's important to notice is that a viewer in the Twitch chat did say that the Galarian Weezing won this tournament. Actually.
Oh no way!
This week it won this tournament. Yeah. I mean, that's one way of dealing with everything. Get rid of their damn abilities.
Right?
Or did he use because I know it also has access to Misty Surge. Maybe it was a Misty Surge here, but I like to think it was for the abilities.
Can you tell me what the just looking at the picture now, what the stadium logos mean at the bottom corner of certain Pokemon?
Dynomax?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It. Or maybe new Pokemon? New Pokemon.
Yeah,
it's totally new Pokemon.
Oh, it's definitely new Pokemon. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the ones that are just specifically from Sword and Shield. Is that constant with the other one? Yes, it is. Okay, yeah, well, you look at that. Okay, so with that, let's end this podcast off by answering some questions. We've had a couple in Twitch chat that we're going to address. And again, while we're answering this, you can still pop in your questions by typing !question before your question. So yeah, let's get into that. The first question comes from Shade Ravenfell, who says, so what do we know about breeding egg moves that Kevin learned today?
Oh, Mike.
Yes.
This is crazy because this actually is another point that tells us what we were wrong in the past. In the past, when we were going over all of the new mechanics for competitive battling and breeding, we said it had to be a male and a female to transfer egg moves. No. Two guys can touch each other.
No
Two
way.
Girls can touch each other. You still get the egg move. It's incredible. You just don't get an egg.
Other?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
They can show each other new tricks. Pokemon is LGBT.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy. Cool.
It makes life easy, trust me. I was like, oh my god, now I gotta breed a female one because all I have is two males. I'm like, let me just stick them in here. Maybe something will happen.
Well, that's great. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That makes things so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
That would have, added a ton of time to teaching egg moves if they had to be opposite genders. Interesting. Okay. So another question that I see here by also Shade Ravenfell, how can you bypass Trick Room in DD? Tell me about Trick Room in DD. Do you know anything about Trick Room in DD?
Trick Room in DD. Okay, so the way it is
a combo with Hatterene.
Yes, they're the staple Trick Room setters right now. I say setters because they work not fantastic individually, but very good together. Now, Indeedee is a Pokemon that has access to Psychic Terrain. Psychic Terrain upon switch-in. So it has Psychic Surge, and then it'll set up the terrain, which means no priority moves can happen against your Pokemon, but you can still use your own priority move. So it still has access to like Follow Me and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So what it'll do is first turn Follow Me, have a Focus Sash, force both of your Pokemon to follow and hit the Indeedee. And since not a lot of multi-hit moves can break it down to a Sash or like even prevalent in this generation, except maybe if you have Dragon Darts. But that's like the only thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
It essentially gives Hatturn free range to just set up Trick Room and not get killed. because usually when you see a Trick Roomer, you target the setter. You don't want that Trick Room up, because once that Trick Room is up, it's kind of game over, sadly.
Right.
Because like I said, speed control is super important this gen. So a few things to bypass it that I can think of is Stalwart Duraludon with Steel Beam. Steel Beam.
Duraludon with Steel Beam. Okay.
A Steel Beam is the base 140 special.
Yeah, it does damage to
move.
yourself.
Yeah. The reason I say Steel Beam is because Steel Beam is 100% OHKO, even at max HP, max special defense per turn. It's always an OHKO. So, and that paired with Stalwart, which is the hidden ability, by the way, it makes it so that moves that redirect moves, like Follow Me and Rage Powder, have no effect on this Pokemon.
Don't work.
So you could just target straight the Trick Room setter and call it a day. Just get rid of it. So another thing that actually Shade mentioned during my stream today is you can also run Imprison and Trick Room on a Pokemon, which makes it so that the enemy team can't use any of your moves, and included is Trick Room, so they can't use Trick Room.
Now, again, for the listeners who aren't fully aware, Trick Room is a very popular move, or not, move, but also a very popular team type that when the move is used, it inverts the speed calculation. So the people with the lowest speed get to move first, and the people with the high speed have to move later. Priority still works, but still.
Yeah. Not in psychic terrain though.
Not in psychic terrain.
That's why NVIDIA's strong.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Those
are just a couple of things you could do to counter it.
Yeah. Do you think that Trick Room is going to be prevalent in this game? Do you think it's received some buffs, or do you think that it's kind of flavor, like everybody kind of has their Trick Room affiliation for a little while?
It's creeping up. It's definitely creeping up, and I'm seeing a lot of very creative ways to get it up, which is kind of scary because I personally don't like going against it.
Right.
I'm kind of because I like to quash. I like to have control of my speed, and Trick Room kind of does ruin that a little bit for me. Especially when you put up a psychic terrain, then that really ruins it for me. But I think we're going to see a lot of it this next week until people find more creative ways of dealing with it. People are already finding creative ways of dealing with Arcanine Whimsicott, so that'll probably fall off a little bit. It'll still be relevant, but like when the meta shifts, it's not a drastic shift, or not usually a drastic shift. It's inch by inch. Less and less people will start using this because they find better things to use.
Right, exactly. That's just kind of how the meta works. Okay, so I think with that, let's end things off for the day. Any closing thoughts that you had about this whole podcast today?
All in all, I think that the ranked competitive online is an improvement compared to last generations. We already talked about how they changed the tiering systems, but I think it's so clean. Like, it actually makes you feel like you're, in a competitive battle. Like in the beginning, and they show you guys each other's team cards, etc., with your number on it. You throw out the Pokemon. I mean, and honestly, after because we've talked about how like a big lagging mess the wild area is. Online battles, you could tell they put so much work into. I haven't lagged or skipped a frame a single time.
Yeah.
With like anything. So it's like very clean, very crisp, very good, high quality battles. Pokemon look beautiful. I just think production quality is very high in terms of online. And I like how the stages change every battle too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I do think that it's a bit of a shame that you have to get through, you have to kind of trudge through the game a little bit to get there. But I think once you're there, and I think once more people get there, we're going to stop talking about that, and we're going to think about that as kind of a fun memory, right? Like, oh yeah, I remember when I was playing through the game, I didn't really like that too much, but when I got to the real end game, I haven't stopped playing that since. So I can definitely echo that sentiment. For me, same thing. It's just been a very interesting experience getting everybody up there, and I think once I have the right Pokemon, and I have my options and I have my ideas on what to change. I think it's going to be really interesting. I do want to put together a singles team really soon. I do want to have Clefable on that, and I'm going to figure out a team around that. I'm going to come to you guys with that once that's done. So with that, just some ending housekeeping things. We mentioned briefly at the beginning of the episode that we're going to be moving Pokésports. We're actually going to be moving Pokésports over to its own dedicated Twitch channel, onto twitch.tv/Pokésports podcast, which I am going to put in the Twitch chat right now. And I'm also going to put that down in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Really, it's just so that it can be on its own place, and so that we're not really competing with each other's stream, not me and Kevin, but like myself and Pokésports. I want to be able to stream at StillJustMike and not have it kind of muddled up with the audience at Pokésports who kind of want, specifically that. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's been the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can always find me wherever you find people at Still Just Mike. You can Google that and check me out on YouTube or Twitch, or where else can people find me? Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Still Just Mike. Yeah, all of that. Kevin, where can people find you? Yeah, exactly. And again, we are now putting Poco Sports Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So once that is up by Wednesday, by the time you're seeing this on YouTube, you can go in and follow us there. As well, if you want to get ahead of the game and follow us on Twitch at Pokesports Podcast, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Next week, I'm going to have my competitive team ready to battle, and we'll see how well it performed. I'm excited. I don't think I'm going to get a ton of battling in, because I am going to be away for a company Christmas party from like Friday to Sunday afternoon. But hopefully I'll be able to get a ton of stuff in, because I'm just like antsy to battle on the battle tower. Mike for Masters, please. I wonder if that's taken. Can I just completely rebrand my YouTube? I would love that. Masterball Mike. Not as good. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time. Peace.